so now we're going to learn how to write an electron configuration. So electron configuration is a shorthand method for keeping track of my electrons. So depending on the element, I could have several, up to even 20, 30, 60 electrons. And so if I have a lot of electrons, I want to be able to say, well, where are they? What orbital are they in? What energy level are they in? Where are these electrons located? And so the only way that I can be able to do that is I want to be able to write an electron configuration. So the electron configuration is my shorthand way of writing where these are located. And so the way that I write this is the first is going to be my N. So I write the N value. Then I write the L, but it's not the number, it's the letter. So this would be a number like 1, 2, or 3. Then this would be S, P, D, or F. And then the number of electrons that are there. Now remember, we can get these values from the periodic table. So the N would be my row, the L would be the block that I'm in, and then the number would be the column that I'm located in. This also tells me my energy level, my sublevel, and the number of electrons that are in that sublevel. So the best way to kind of really be able to do these is to practice them just looking at the periodic table. So we're just going to look at the periodic table, pick a element, and work through it. Now these are going to be the full electron configurations. We're going to talk about how to write the long ones and then a shorthand notation. So these are the longhand notation ones. All right, so I'm just going to pull up a periodic table and we're just going to slowly go through a few of them as examples. So let's start with our simplest. Our simplest element is right here is hydrogen. So we write the element that we're trying to do. So up here, we write the element for whichever one we're trying to write its electron configuration for. All right, so then the first thing is we have to figure out, well, what is the N value? So if I'm trying to do hydrogen, I look, I see he only has one electron. If he's neutral, he only has one. And so since I'm hydrogen, he's the neutral. So I said, well, what row is he in? So he's in row 1, so that means his N is equal to 1. Then I said, well, what block? So remember we said that these two columns make up the S block. So these two columns make up the S block. So he's in row 1, he's in the S block. And since he's in column 1, I'm only going to put in one electron. So he's 1s1. That would be my hydrogen. All right, let's do another one. So let's pick another element. Let's try beryllium. Okay, so beryllium has 4 electrons. So we have to put all 4 electrons in where they go. And we always start back up here with hydrogen. Okay, because hydrogen has 1 electron, so his 1 electron is going to behave like beryllium's first electron. So we always start back with hydrogen. So we say, okay, what N am I in? I'm in N equals 1. What block am I in? I'm in my S block. And then we would say, okay, well, this 1 electron, we go in there. But we know we have to get all the way to 4. So I could put a 1 here, but I have to get all the way to 4. So then I have to go to the next one. So the next one is helium. So what row is helium in? Helium is in my row where N equals 1. And then remember that for helium, when we're doing these problems, you imagine helium sitting right here. So for these, he sneaks over there. So he's also in the S block. So he's in the S block, and then his electron would be the second electron in the S. So instead of writing 1s1, 1s1 for each of those electrons, because we remember how many electrons could be in an orbital? 2. So we would put both electrons in that S orbital, because one's going to be spin up, one's going to be spin down. So now we've got the first 2 electrons. They're both in the N equals 1, they're both in the S block. So now we're on the 3rd electron, so we go to number 3. Once it's N, the N is 2. So we put a 2. Then we say, okay, what block is he in? He's in the S block. And then we would say, okay, well then there's 1. So he's in column 1, there's only 1 of them, so we would say 2s1. But we know we have to get all the way here to beryllium. So we would just kind of wait with our exponent and we look. beryllium's also in the 2s. So instead of just writing 2s1, 2s1, we would write 2s2 because this guy and this guy are both in the s orbital. So we write that. So 1s2, 2s2. And the way we can check it is we know beryllium has 4 electrons. So we add up my exponents. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 electrons. I've notated where they all should go. All right, let's up it a little bit. Let's do nitrogen next. So nitrogen here has 7 electrons. So if he has 7 electrons, we want to start over here. Same thing. So what's its N? His N is 1, and he's in what block? S. I know I have to get all the way to nitrogen, so I'm going to go ahead and do my first electron and my second electron because they're both in the 1s. So I say 1s2. Now I'm on my third electron. Here's my third electron. He's in the 2. Okay, so he's in the 2. He's in the s. So I know it's going to be a 2s. But I know I have to get all the way to 7. So I know I'm going to add him and I'm going to add my next guy. So 2s2. Okay, now I come over here to my 5th electron. So now that I'm on my 5th electron, I look and say, well, what row am I in? So I'm still in row 2. And then what block am I in? So remember we said that this whole thing was my P block. So this whole thing is the P block. This whole thing is my S block. Okay, so I'm in the P block. So 2P. And remember, we got to get all the way to 7. So remember that the P block has 3 different orientations. So if it has 3 different orientations, that means that it has 6 total electrons it can hold. 3 orientations, 3 suborbitals, and each orbital can have 2. So if I have 3 orientations, 3 orbitals, each orbital can have 2 electrons. 3 times 2 gives me 6. So that's why there's 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 electrons that could be in a P. But I don't need to put all 6. I only need to get to nitrogen. So I know I'm in the 2P, and I say 1, 2, 3. So I just put in 3 so that I can get to nitrogen. And then I can check. Nitrogen has an atomic number of 7, so I should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, let's do another one. So your next one is going to be aluminum. All the way down here, number 13. Okay, so let's start. We always start at the beginning. You'll notice that it's a trend. You start the same way every single time. So start at the beginning. So I'm in the N equals 1. I'm in the S block. I know I have to get to 13, so I do this guy and the next guy because the S has one orientation, so he can only have 1 orbital. So he can only have 2. So it's 1s2. So 1s and then my other 1s. Now I'm in number 3. He's in the 2 and he's in the s. So he's a 2s. And I know I have to get all the way over there, so I do 2s here, 2s here. So that's 2 of them that I can put in there. Now I'm over here to boron. Boron is in row 2, and he's in the P. So now I know I'm in the 2P. I know I have to get all the way down here, so I keep going. Here's a 2P, here's a 2P, here's a 2P, there's a 2P, there's a 2P, there's a 2P. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 electrons that are in the 2P. I go ahead and I just do all 6 of them at one time because I know I have to get all the way down to aluminum. So I could go 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So now I'm back over here to number 11. What's his N? His N is 3, and he's in the S. So he's a 3S. But I know I need to keep going, so he's a 3S and he's a 3S. So I go ahead and do both of those. So 3S2. Now I come over here. Finally I get to my aluminum. He's in row 3, and he's a P, and I only need him. I don't need to keep going because I'm only trying to write the electron configuration for aluminum. So I stop here. So it's 3P1. All right, so that's how we write our electron configurations. We're gonna practice them some more, but before we go to doing these that are way down here, we can see that that's like 106. Look, that got really long, and that was only 13. Look, we checked. 1, 2, 3, 4, plus 6 is 10, 11, 12, 13. That got kind of long with only 13. So if we're gonna come down here and do these that have a lot more, we wanna learn how to write the shorthand first. Okay, so we'll stop here, and then later on in the lectures, we're gonna learn how to do the shorthand, and we'll come back to this. All right.